going to focus now on large and small percents. So when I say large, I mean greater than 100%. And when I mean small, I mean less than 1%. Okay, we are pretty good in life at working between 1 and 100%. But what happens when we're outside of those? So it's basically the same. You just have to remember what it all means. Let me go back to this. Remember that 100% is equal to 1. So if I have $50 and I give you 100% of that, that means I give you all 50. Okay, so let's just kind of keep that in mind. So anything above 100 is going to be more than what we started with. Okay, so number one, Jaden receives a job offer for $60,500 and says this is 110% of what he is currently earning. Determine the amount Jaden is currently earning. Y'all, it's all about wording, right? So look at this. Okay, 60,500 and says this, which is the 60,500 is means equals 110% of means to multiply, currently earning. Let's call it C. So to find this, well, I need to change my percent to a decimal. So 60,500 equals 1.1 C. To get C by itself, I divide both sides by 1.1, and our current amount is 55,000. This should make sense. If Jaden is earning 110% of the current earnings, well, 110% means more. So if this 60,500 is more than the current earnings, then the current earnings should be less than that, right? Make sure it makes sense logically when you finish. Number two, a lottery states that the chances of winning are 2 in 2,500. What are the chances of winning expressed as a percentage? This kind of plays a little bit like probability. So your probability is 2 out of 2,500. Let's change that to a decimal. So we divide. 2 divided by 2,500 is 0.0008. How do we change a decimal to a percent? We multiply by 100, which is the same as moving it 2 places to the right, which leaves us with 0.08%. That is a very small percent. But alas, there it is. Number 3, 16,230 Indiana residents identified as Native American on the last census. If this is 0.24% of the population, what is the approximate population of Indiana? Round to the nearest whole person. What does this tell us? Start. 16,230. But if this refers back to 16,230 means to equals 0.24%, so 0.24% of means to multiply, population. Let's call it P. I change this sentence because I have to change that percent to a decimal. Remember, percent to a decimal moves it left 2 places, so 0.0024 times P. To isolate P, I divide both sides by 0.0024, and when I do that, I find the population of Indiana to the nearest whole person to be 6,762,500. Roughly that 6.8 million we often talk about. Number 4, Anna's rent this year is 120% of what it was last year. Let's just start there. I'm not even going to read the rest of this. So this year is 120% of last year. Okay, so at least I have a sentence. Now, what do I say? If her rent was $1,050 last year, so that means last is $1,050, what will her rent be this year? Let's call it T. So T equals 120% times $1,050. We change that percent to a decimal. T equals 1.2 times $1,050. That leaves us with T equals $1,260 for rent this year. Use the words to guide your statements. And the last one, a student receives a 25 out of 20 on a quiz. What percentage is this? Well, we start with The total is always on the bottom. So if you think about, I took this quiz, how many total points were possible? 20 out of 20. So that means 20. What you earned is in the top. Well, I earned 25. So that means I earned 125% on this quiz. This happens when there's extra credit offered, right? You can get above 100% because only 20 points on this quiz counted as the points. The other extra credits were above, right? They were above what was expected. So you would be expected, if you get them all right, to be above 100%. And that's percentages, large and small.